Traveling, is it healthy or unhealthy? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the disadvantages of traveling, as well as some of the advantages of traveling and how we can benefit from traveling as far as health is concerned. At the end of the video, I'm going to also mention something really cool, so stay tuned. My name is Olivia Pinto. I help freedom seekers create abundance and harmony while living the life you truly desire. So, if you're a freedom seeker and you wish to have access to valuable information, tips and tools to create abundance and harmony in your private or professional life, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll get notified every time I post a new video for you. So when we talk about travel, I refer mainly to international travel, to overseas travel, to taking a business or private holiday or vacation or trip in another country. I'm referring to exploring the world, okay? I'm not talking too much about traveling in our local area. And the thing is this, when we ask people, if you had all the money in the world, and all the time in the world, you had absolutely no restrictions of money or time, what would you do? What are the most important 5 things that you would do? And so the answers are different from person to person, but there are some similarities. And one of the similarities is that most people include in those 5 favorite things they would do if they had all the time and money, they include holidays, vacations, exploring the world, traveling more, get to know new cultures, visit certain places. So traveling is really a very high priority amongst many people, and it's the wish or the dream of so many people. Enough that you see on television a program on cooking a certain dish in a certain part of Thailand, and you say, oh, I wish I could go there one day. Or you see an amazing, breathtaking landscape or an exciting city, and you said, oh my God, I'd love to see that city. So traveling is really something that most people either do, or most people would like to do, or most people would like to do more of. So let's look at some of the disadvantages of traveling. The first disadvantage, especially if we travel to very far locations, is jet lag. Because in the past we used to take a boat and it would take 3 weeks to get from, let's say, Brazil to Europe. But today, within a few hours, we crossed the half of the world and we found ourselves in a completely different environment. And of course, the time zones are different. So jet lag can be very difficult on the body, especially if we don't have enough time to adjust. If we land in the morning and we have some meetings already that day, and so that can be quite difficult on the body. So one disadvantage is jet lag. Another disadvantage is that if you travel through airplanes, with airplanes, then most flights today are lacking oxygen. So if it's a short flight, 45 minutes up and down, no big deal. But if you travel to the other side of the world and you have lack of oxygen or reduced oxygen and clean air to breathe during the flight, it can be very uncomfortable. And also the airplanes can dehydrate you. So the combination of not lack of oxygen, but not enough oxygen and the not enough water can really dehydrate you. On top of it, the flights can be uncomfortable because if you are, especially again in long distance flights, if you're not moving enough, or if you have a tendency to swell, then obviously the lack of movement, the lack of flow of blood and fluids and lymph in the body can create swelling of the joints and swelling around, especially the feet and the hands, but the whole body can go into swelling. So if you take your shoes off and you put them at the end of the flight, you can find that it's much harder to go into the shoes. Or if you take your jewelry off and towards the end of the flight you put them back, you realize that, wow, I was actually swollen. So if you're a healthy person in general And so a bit of swelling, a bit of dehydration is not such a big deal. But if you have a tendency for a disease, or if you have a disease, those things can be quite uncomfortable and not so healthy on the body. Okay. Another disadvantage of traveling is that it can make us more prone to disease, especially if we move to places where there is a sudden change of altitude. For example, if you live in a low place and all of a sudden you fly to a place that is very, very high, or you fly with the purpose of climbing a mountain or skiing or something that is in altitude, and you're exposed to altitude in a short period of time, then it can be quite hard on the body. It can also be extreme changes in temperature. If you live in a place that is extremely cold, it's winter and it's a cold winter, and you take an airplane and within 8 hours you're in a place where it's summer, it can be quite shocking to the system. So it's a matter of altitude, it's a matter of temperature, it's also a matter of humidity. Again, if you're used to humid weather and you go to a very dry weather, you may find that it's quite hard for you to breathe. Or the other way around, if you're used to a very dry weather and you go to a very humid weather, you can find yourself extremely exhausted and, you know, lacking energy and sweating and feeling heavy and so on. So it really depends where you're coming from and what are your habits and how fast are those changes. It can also make you more prone to disease because you may go to places that don't have very good sanitation, the hygiene is low, the water is not very clean, there are a lot of microbes, and so of course that can make you more prone to disease. And the last disadvantage that I would like to mention here is that in some places in the world, unfortunately, the medical and healthcare services are really poor. So if you get sick, chances of getting the appropriate treatment or the appropriate medication or the appropriate evaluation or diagnosis can be quite difficult. So these are some disadvantages of traveling, and as you see, we can summarize them with two conclusions. The first conclusion is that all the disadvantages that I mentioned right now are all related to our body, to the physical health, okay? It's all about our physical health. That is the most prone part of who we are as far as the disadvantages of traveling. And conclusion number two is that most of them can be known in advance. We can plan towards them. We can prepare them. If, for example, we go to a place where we know that the water is not clean and sanitation, instead of just eating fruits and vegetables and drinking from the tap water, we can bring with us some things to make sure that the water that we drink is actually clean. We can bring some things to make sure that we are sterilizing our hands, and so on and so on. So if we go to altitudes, we can take some fast aid kit to have with us. So there are a lot of things that we can do, prepare and plan in advance, and even prevent a lot of the situations if we're aware of them. Okay, so this is about the disadvantages of traveling. If there are some health risks on the body, then how can it be that so many people wish to travel more? How can it be that most people, when are asked what are the 5 things they would do if they have all the money and the time in the world, traveling is one of them? And how can it be that so many doctors and healthcare professionals support and recommend taking a break, going on a vacation, traveling, changing atmosphere, you know, and so there is definitely something there. So let's look at the advantages of traveling. So first of all, as far as health is concerned, we saw that there are certain risks and certain disadvantages, but there are also a lot of health benefits of traveling. For example, when we travel, we tend to do more physical activity. If we're sitting all day in the office, then all of a sudden when we travel, we walk much more, we climb more stairs. Maybe the nature of the trip has to do with more physical activity, like a sports trip or a hiking trip. But even if we just walk from the hotel room or the apartment that we rent or the place that we stay to a shop or to a transportation or to a museum or to visit people, we walk more. And by walking more, we really pump the blood, and it can help to lower blood pressure. It can even help to reduce heart problems for people who are sedentary or overweight, and they are told that movement is important. So on a physical level, we know that traveling can also help you reduce stress. Stress levels accumulate a lot, and they accumulate even more when we're stuck in a routine, when we feel drained, when we feel that we're not fulfilled, and all of a sudden just changing the atmosphere is important. As a matter of fact, some people feel already more relaxed just when they decide to go on vacation, just when they buy their ticket and they know, wow, I'm going to leave on this day and I'm going to come back on this day, and already their stress level goes down, already their excitement levels go up. So it has a very powerful impact on the stress levels in the body. And of course it gives us more energy, especially if we go to places with fresh air, like open air places, and we breathe good oxygen and so on. It's a very, very good remedy for depression, because when we travel, we see new things, we're exposed to new stimuli, new smells, new colors, new shapes, new people, new cultures, new habits, new way of doing things. And so there is something that brings a lot of curiosity and automatically makes the person more focused externally rather than on their problems. So it can help also with depression or with low mood and feeling quite low. It sharpens our mind function because, as I said, we experience new things, and so there's a lot of stimuli on the brain and the nervous system. Just being in a place where you hear most of the day a different language than the language that you're used to, and already your mind will start functioning and working and being triggered in a different way. It recharges our batteries, our emotional batteries, our physical batteries. Maybe we are completely drained from a certain project that we did, and just by going on a vacation and we feel like, oh, that I really needed that, just to have lunch in the sun, or just to watch the sea, or just to climb that mountain, or just to explore that city, or just to go to that museum and be exposed to art again. Whatever it is that you like to do, it recharges your batteries. It opens your mind because you're exposed to other things. Like, for example, when I moved to Asia, I lived in Asia for 10 years in Hong Kong. And when I moved there, I couldn't stand Chinese opera. It was really uncomfortable. It was painful for my ears, and my whole body was like really reacting to Chinese opera. But I got used to it. I got exposed to it. So I got used to it, and as a result, I ended up falling in love with Chinese opera, and now I can listen to it with pleasure. So it opens your mind to things that you're not used to. And that also makes us more flexible, because when we are constantly doing exactly the same things with the same people at the same times and everything, we develop routines, and those routines can make us be a little bit rigid because we look at the world according to our habits, and therefore our habits, we perceive them as the right habits, and everything else that is not like the way we do things can be wrong. So as soon as we travel and we say, oh, they do it differently here, so we open our mind and we become a little bit more flexible that there are other ways of doing that. Of course, it enhances our creativity, because when we're exposed to new things, we start thinking, oh, maybe I could do this, oh, maybe I should do that, and so on. And it creates memories. Obviously, this doesn't need any explanation. It builds a lot of connections. You may either deepen the connection with the people you travel with, or with the people that you meet when you travel, or you can make completely new connections with strangers that can become, at the end of your trip, very good friends and you know, friends for life. So you build your connections, and it helps you to let go of preconceived ideas and beliefs. Like often I have people who tell me, oh my God, you know, I visited this and this country and I was sure that people are so serious and, you know, they don't have a sense of humor. And I was so surprised. So you go and visit a certain country with preconceived ideas and you come back with a completely different opinion. Of course, it allows you to have more fun. There is something fun and playful and exciting about traveling, which is why when people say, I'm going on holidays, I say, oh, good for you. There's always a good reaction. It's always something very happy. It's something very satisfying. It allows you to become more positive and more optimistic. In fact, when you reflect on your life while you travel and you're far from your routine, you tend to look at yourself and your life from a different angle. You tend to make decisions about your life. You tend to really want to be more positive, and you start seeing things a little bit more differently. It helps you understand different cultures much better and learn about yourself in relation to those cultures. So it's really, really fun and exciting. You learn a lot of things about yourself, including things you were not aware of. For example, you may discover that you have a certain skill or that you like to do something that you would never imagine you like doing. Maybe in your hometown, you never spend time for yourself because you're always with friends and family and colleagues and neighbors and this and that. And all of a sudden when you travel, you find yourself alone and you do something by yourself and you spend a whole day or week or whatever by yourself. And you say, oh my God, I actually really enjoy being on my own, or the other way around. So you can discover a lot of things about yourself when you travel. You can obviously improve languages and you can even learn a few words. Thank you, hello, how much does it cost? How do you say sorry? How do you say thank you? And so on in different languages. You can magnify the concept of synchronicity when you travel. You know, you're much more aware of coincidences or of events, so to speak, when you travel. All of a sudden you said, oh my God, the train was supposed to come at that time and I got lost, so I didn't make it to the train, but then I met this person and this happened. Oh my God, if this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. And you connect the dots and all that because you're much more open and flexible and playful, and you have more fun, and your whole mindset is much more open to become more aware of the synchronicity of things and the coincidences of events. And as a result, you also become more observational. You observe more things. You see, you can cross the main street of your town so many times and you are just focusing on getting from point A to point B. I need to go to store this and that to buy ABC, and you just focus on getting there. But when you're in a foreign place, you look around, you look to see how the decoration is and how people do things, and you are much more observing the surrounding and your environment, and with less judgment, because you know that it's not yours, so you come like a child with a childlike quality of curiosity. And of course, it makes you more compassionate, because once you see by yourself a certain culture, a certain group of people, a certain way that people live in, you develop compassion towards those people. It makes you more grateful and appreciative, and it definitely develops your communication skills when you travel. We can see that if we weigh the disadvantages and the advantages, there are many more advantages to traveling than disadvantages. And they actually really benefit us so much, and they impact our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, our social health. They impact our interpersonal health. They impact our cultural health. They impact our global health. They're really very, very, very useful on all levels. They make us stronger, happier, more relaxed, ready to come back and full of energy. And so it's really beneficial to travel. So since we're talking today about traveling and health, I created for you a free resource in which I share with you some tips on how to promote health while traveling. What are the things that you can do when you travel before and during your trip to make sure that your health is as strong as possible? And in that free resource, I also include a very, very, very nice thing and a surprise that I told you that I'll tell you at the end of the movie. I share with you in the free resource a very cool way that I discovered to travel the world. So if you want to have access to this free resource, you can download it at my blog, oliviapinto.com/9download. I will leave for you a link above or below this video, and all you have to do is click on the link and it will take you to my blog. Or if you're already on my blog, you will see below this video a big green button, and when you click on it, it will give you access to the tips on healthy traveling and to the surprise on how to travel the world in a very, very cool way. Question of the week: which destination would you like to travel to? Please share in the comment section below. I would love to know what your bucket list is. So if you enjoyed this video and you feel it added some value to you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends wherever they are in the world, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.